when Eva asked me to come and speak tonight, I'm really excited about transmission. I've been dealing with transmission for my 20-year career with Southwest Power Pool. But what I don't know is what your familiarity is with the electric system and how it operates. I've got a lot of slides, and some of it's very basic. Some of it's, we kind of wade into some more of the details. So how many of you feel comfortable that you kind of know how the system operates? Know much about it? If you at least know what a kilowatt is, know what your electric bill is, you're familiar with that? All right, great. Well, let me go ahead and jump in there, because we realize that electricity is just such an important part of our society today. We just depend on it. It's something that will significantly impact us if we have our power outage. I'm sure we've all experienced that and just went, whoa, electricity is very important. I use it everywhere. What I've got is you need some help? Okay. I've got quite a few slides I'm going to walk through. I've got planned breaks at 2 different points, a break being stop and ask for questions. And I'm committed to getting out of here by 8:15 so we don't have to switch tapes. So. Okay, well, let me go ahead and jump in there. For tonight, on the agenda is a quick introduction to SPP and its basics. Then we'll delve into some of the specifics of the transmission grid itself. We'll talk about the electric industry, some things that govern it, how we operate as an industry as a whole. Get into some of the specifics of SPP's role. And what I'm talking about here is exactly what we do on a day-to-day basis. And then we can talk a little bit about Nebraska's Energy Future, and I'm sure that's what a lot of you are here to talk about and interested in. Okay, the overview, I wanted to start with a map of SPP. Not that you can see all the details here, but just to give you an idea of the size and scope of SPP. With Nebraska companies joining actually late last year, and they're going to go operational this spring. Nebraska's on the north, and we go all the way to the south as far as Louisiana. We cover the panhandle of Texas, covering Kansas, Oklahoma, parts of Arkansas and Missouri. SPP's mission. SPP is a regional transmission organization. We're all about the transmission grid. Our mission is to help our members work together to keep the lights on today and in the future. This is what SPP uses to separate itself from other similar organizations, and we feel like is a significant difference for SPP is that we're relationship-based. We work with our members a lot. We're member-driven. We listen to what they want. The members are the utilities, anybody that participates in the electric grid operation. And I'll show you that list here in a little bit. We also have independence through diversity. We have a very diverse membership. Our membership is not all, public utilities. It's not all, your traditional large utility. It's a very diverse group, and that really helps us get different ideas to the table so that we can appreciate everybody's position. And we feel like that really helps us in decision making. We also are evolutionary versus revolutionary. We believe in slow changes so that we can be successful on those steps rather than trying to make big giant leaps. And that reliability and economics are inseparable. And this is where you look at the reliability of the grid versus the cost to build things. If you want 100% reliability, you just way overbuild, but it costs you a whole bunch of money. On the opposite side, if by not building, it does cost you by having cheap generation constrained and not being able to deliver to customers. A little bit of quick history on SPP. We were founded and started up in 1941, right before actually Pearl Harbor in the summer of '41. The United States was gearing up for the war effort. Arkansas had a big bauxite deposit where they started aluminum manufacturing. And Arkansas Power Light at that time could not supply the power needs of the aluminum industry. So they pooled together with 11 different utilities to be able to deliver power into the state of Arkansas to ramp up the aluminum production. And actually a Nebraska Power Company, Nebraska Power Company, they're now OPPD, they were one of the original members of Southwest Power Pool. Back in the 40s, there's a transmission line that's still there, runs from Nebraska down through Kansas and into Arkansas. So they used that to deliver power to Arkansas during that time. But it was so successful and beneficial that the members kept it together after the war effort. It stayed in place. It did some different things, but one of the significant events that occurred is in 1965, there was a large blackout in the Northeast. New York was out for a couple of days, and the utilities came together after that to figure out what they can do to improve the reliability of the grid. And they formed these regional councils, and SPP was the original regional council for this area of the country in 1968. We've added functions. This kind of shows our evolutionary process, and some significant things in there is 2004 is when we became a FERC-approved or Federal Energy Regulatory Commission-approved RTO, Regional Transmission Organization. This gives us specific responsibilities over this area of the country that's regulated by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. And then in 2007, we launched an energy imbalance market. That's the EIS market. And that's a real-time market that we have where people can put in bids and then they can buy power if they need it. Quickly, SPP is located in Little Rock. We have a 24-hour center. We actually have a fully redundant backup center in case something happens at the primary. So it's very much like you'd see in a large utility operation. We're incorporated as a nonprofit organization, a 501c6. If you're, 501c3 is a charitable donation, but we're essentially a public good nonprofit organization. Two big things for us is the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, which is similar to like the FAA. If you're familiar with the FAA, everybody's heard of them. Well, that's what FERC does for the electric industry. And then NERC, which is the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, that organization is focused strictly on developing standards for the industry. So they're the organization that tells us the details on how we're going to operate. SPP, this shows you the states that we have 53 members. We're a very diverse group. We have, you see investor-owned cooperatives, municipal, state agencies. So all these people come to the table and we talk about issues and decide where to go forward. So we have a very diverse group, and it makes for very interesting discussions because a lot of these people are competing not only against one another, but against different aspects. When you take like an independent power producer versus other independent power producers, so there are competitors sitting right there at the table with them. Okay, just the scope of SPP. We have about what we call 56.5 gigawatts, or 56,000 megawatts of generation capacity, and that's enough to power approximately 45 million homes. So we have a pretty large fleet of generation. Our transmission owners spend about $500 million a year in maintaining the system and providing for improvements. Our 44,000 miles of transmission could circle the earth almost twice. So there's a lot of transmission facilities in this 8-state area that we operate in. This just shows you the diversity of our generation resources. We have primarily coal, then gas, a little bit of nuclear, and a very small amount of wind and a little bit of hydro. I had this slide in there in case there's any IT people in here. Every few seconds, we collect data from the utilities, and we use that data to solve models to help us study and evaluate the system. And we collect about 63,000 data points. These data points tell us like whether or not a transmission line is open and closed, tell us how much power is flowing on the transmission line. It's all the things that we need to put into an engineering model so we can study it to determine what the power flow is right now and what the power flow would be if situations occurred, like if we lost a transmission line, if a tornado or a lightning strike took the transmission line out, we can study that as well. We've got a large computer facility. Our goal is to be essentially 100% operational, operating out of 2 different data centers. So how does SPP impact you? SPP cost is approximately 30 cents on a $100 residential bill.